The question of who built something seems like it should have a clean answer. There is a machine. Someone made it. The records show where it was made, by whom, using what materials, under whose direction. The answer should be retrievable, and in the overwhelming majority of cases, it is. The archives exist. The records survive. The chain of manufacturing and ownership can be traced with sufficient precision to satisfy any reasonable inquiry. But there are cases at the edges of history where the chain breaks down, where the records are contradictory or absent, where the circumstances of manufacture were complicated enough that the clean answer becomes unavailable. And occasionally there are cases where the records don't merely fail to provide a clean answer, but actively support two contradictory ones, where two separate institutions each have documentation establishing that they built the same machine, and where the documentation, on examination, turns out to be genuine in both cases. The locomotive at the center of this story was a small, four-coupled tender engine that spent its working life on a railway in the Austro-Hungarian Empire in the final decades of the 19th century. It is designated in the historical literature as the subject of the Trieste dispute, a name it acquired not during its operational life, when nobody was paying sufficient attention to it to dispute anything about it, but afterward, when railway historians from two successor states of the former empire both identified it as a product of their national engineering traditions, and both produced documentation to prove their claim. The background requires understanding something about how locomotive manufacturing worked in the Austro-Hungarian Empire in the 1870s and 1880s, which was more complicated than it might appear. The empire contained multiple centers of industrial production, speaking different languages, operating under different administrative systems, and possessing different levels of technical development. Locomotive manufacture happened in Vienna, in Prague, in Budapest, in Trieste, and in several other centers, with the various manufacturing establishments operating in networks of supply and subcontracting that crossed the administrative and linguistic boundaries within the empire in ways that the official records of any single establishment did not fully capture. The practice of component manufacture in one location and final assembly in another was widespread. A locomotive designated as a product of one works might contain a boiler manufactured elsewhere, running gear produced at a third location, and valve gear assembled from components with origins in multiple establishments. The designation of origin in the official fleet records reflected where the final assembly had taken place, which was not always the location where the most significant manufacturing had occurred, and which sometimes differed from the location that would have been identified as the primary manufacturer by any of the establishments involved. The locomotive that became the subject of the dispute had been ordered by the Imperial and Royal Austrian State Railways in 1878 for service on a mountainous line in the southern part of the empire. The order was placed through the normal procurement process. The contract awarded to an establishment in Vienna, and the locomotive entered the fleet with a designation showing it as a Viennese product. This is the documentation that the Austrian historians produced when they identified the locomotive as part of their national railway heritage. It was straightforward, consistent, and entirely accurate as far as it went. What the Austrian documentation did not show, because the Vienna works records did not include information about the supply chain that supported the final assembly, was that the locomotive's boiler had been manufactured at an establishment in Trieste, that the driving wheel castings had been produced at a foundry in what is now Slovenia, and that the valve gear had been assembled from components manufactured at a workshop in what is now the Czech Republic. The Vienna works had assembled these components into a finished locomotive. The Vienna works records accurately reflected that assembly. But the assembly was the least technically demanding part of the manufacturing process, and the components that required the most significant engineering capability to produce had come from elsewhere. The Trieste connection was what produced the dispute. After the First World War, when the Austro-Hungarian Empire dissolved and its successor states began the process of establishing national identities in every domain, including industrial heritage, the records of the Trieste manufacturing establishment were examined by Italian railway historians, Trieste having been incorporated into Italy in 1919. Those historians found in the Trieste records complete documentation of the boiler manufacturing process for the locomotive in question, the original drawings, the material specifications, the quality inspection records, and the delivery documents showing the boiler shipped to Vienna for final assembly. The Italian historians concluded on the basis of this documentation that the locomotive was in significant technical respects an Italian product, or at least a product of the industrial tradition that had been present in Trieste before the war and that was now part of Italian industrial history. Their publication making this case was scholarly, carefully documented, and entirely accurate in everything it claimed. The boiler had been made in Trieste. The documentation proved it beyond any reasonable question. The Austrian historians, who read the Italian publication, responded with their own documentation, which was equally scholarly and equally accurate. The locomotive had been assembled in Vienna. The contract had been placed with a Vienna works. The fleet designation showed Vienna as the manufacturer. These facts were not in dispute. What emerged from the exchange was not a resolution, but a genuine puzzle. Both claims were correct. Both documentary foundations were solid. The question of where the locomotive had been built could not be answered cleanly because the locomotive had not been built in one place. It had been built in several places, assembled from components produced across the breadth of an empire that no longer existed, designated for administrative purposes as a product of the establishment that had performed the final assembly and then inherited by successor states, that each had legitimate but partial claims on the history of its manufacture. The dispute was conducted with the particular combination of scholarly rigor and national feeling that characterizes arguments between historians about the industrial heritage of territories that have changed national identity. Both sides produced further documentation. The Viennese manufacturing records were analyzed in detail. The Trieste records were re-examined. Attempts were made to identify the origin of the driving wheel castings and the valve gear components, with results that added further complexity by identifying manufacturing locations in additional successor states that then had their own partial claim on the locomotive's history. The locomotive itself was not present during these debates. It had been scrapped in 1921, its working life ending in the chaos of the post-war reorganization of the railway systems that had served the former empire. The physical machine that had carried the conflicting documentation was gone, leaving only the records to argue over. The argument produced, eventually, a paper published jointly by Austrian and Italian railway historians that acknowledged the impossibility of a clean answer and proposed a framework for understanding the locomotive's origin that was intellectually honest about its complexity. The paper argued that the locomotive was a product not of any single national tradition, but of the manufacturing network that the Austro-Hungarian Empire had maintained across its territories. A network in which components traveled across administrative and linguistic boundaries to be assembled into finished products that were designated by their point of final assembly, but that contained the work of engineers and craftsmen from multiple locations. The paper was well received in academic circles and essentially ignored outside them, which is the normal fate of papers that reach honest and complicated conclusions about questions that people prefer to have answered simply. The story of the Trieste locomotive, if that is what it should be called, since calling it that implies a resolution that the evidence doesn't support, is a story about the relationship between the records of manufacture and the reality of manufacture, between the administrative designation of origin and the technical reality of where something was actually made. In the period of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the administrative convenience of designating a locomotive by its assembly location masked a manufacturing reality that was distributed across multiple centers and multiple traditions. The empire's administration had reasons for simplifying that reality into a single designation. The simplification worked well enough for the empire's operational purposes. When the empire dissolved and its territories became the foundations of separate national identities, the simplified designations became the starting points for national heritage claims that the simplified designations could not sustain. The Trieste locomotive was Austrian because it had been assembled in Vienna. It was Italian, or more precisely Triestine, because its most technically significant component had been made in Trieste. It was Slovenian because its driving wheels had been cast in a Slovenian foundry. It was Czech because its valve gear had been assembled in Bohemia. It was simultaneously all of these things and definitively none of them. The dispute was resolved in the only way that genuine historical complexity can be resolved, by acknowledging it rather than by selecting one answer at the expense of the others. The locomotive's history was more complicated than any single national narrative could contain, because the locomotive itself had been the product of a manufacturing system that was more complicated than the national narratives that succeeded it were designed to accommodate. Every locomotive is the product of more than one set of hands, more than one workshop, more than one tradition of knowledge and practice. The clean designation of origin that appears in the fleet records represents an administrative decision, not a manufacturing reality. The Trieste locomotive made this visible, but what it revealed was not an anomaly. It was the normal condition of industrial manufacture, simplified for administrative convenience, and then taken literally by people who needed simple answers for purposes that the records were never designed to serve. The locomotive, built in several places and belonging to none of them exclusively, is preserved now only in the documentation of the dispute it generated. A machine that left no physical trace, but whose history illuminated something true about the nature of industrial production that the simpler stories of manufacture prefer not to examine too closely. It was built everywhere and nowhere. It was built by everyone and no one. It was, in the end, a machine that belonged to a world that no longer existed, produced by a system that the maps had redrawn into separate territories, while the manufacturing connections that had made it possible continued to exist in the documentary record, waiting for historians to find them and begin an argument that the locomotive itself could no longer settle.